Greetings. I'd like to spend a few minutes and talk about the human rights case study. What I'm asking everyone to do is to present a detailed case study of a recent or current human rights violation, and you may include some of the following areas in your discussion, but not all of them are necessary to include. And what I've done here basically is combined Dr. Fine's model with some other models, and again, what I would recommend is selecting the areas that are relevant to your case study. But again, excellent examples are in your Human Rights and Wrongs textbook. Some of the questions that you could address, for example, are who are the victims and how are the victims selected? Who are the perpetrators and how do the perpetrators differ from the victims? We might also look at how the victims and perpetrators are related, if they are. Also, what type of human rights violations are taking place. So you want to really provide a clear example and a specific definition of the actual violation so that we have that information to really start our analysis. And of course, how is the violation measured? And there are a variety of ways to measure human rights violations, and one's not necessarily better than the other, but we usually do have at least a method we use to say, hey, a human rights violation is occurring or did occur. And also, how are other present human rights violations related? There may be other ones that you want to discuss that also are related to the one of interest for your case study. Then how did this practice evolve? For example, what models, influences, and traditions lay behind it? And again, please provide specific examples. I think the more specific you get in your case study, the better the outcome of it. What are the victimizer purposes? How does the type of government influence, enable, or accelerate the use of, for example, in some cases, torture and terror? That's the case that Dr. Fine discusses, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something involving torture and or terror. And how is the practice acknowledged and legitimated? Do the victims and bystanders concur in these processes? What are the conditions or the contingencies that triggered this? What is the history of the violation and violators? A lot of times we gain a great deal of information if we go back and try to understand what some of the connections are that led to that particular human rights violation, especially if there's a history of human rights violations or if the perpetrators or the state are engaging in multiple human rights violations over time. And what are the roles of the bystanders within the country and also in other countries and organizations? You know, the reactions, the interactions, if any, for example, in the United States, in the international community, in the United Nations, in the International Criminal Court, by non-governmental organizations, and who might be bystanders or accomplices. That sometimes it's difficult to tell. That may be an issue. Also, did the violations end or are they still occurring? And what do you think will be the short-term and long-term effects? What else would you consider? And so in essence, in this case study, you're presenting a detailed presentation of a human rights violation, going into detail about the nature of that violation, how that violation occurred, who was victimized by, who the perpetrators are, and what the outcome was or what it looks like it might be, what the reactions are within the country versus internationally, and there might be different international reactions as well. And this will allow you to not only analyze, but also to evaluate whether or not the human rights violation is still occurring or if there's been interventions that have led to a ending of that particular violation, or maybe things have gotten worse. And so basically, I'm recommending that you choose a specific area for your focus, but also that I'd like you to select a human rights violation that is of interest to you, that you would like to explore further, that you want to increase your knowledge. And of course, the nice thing is we will post all these on our website, and we can read each other's case studies and learn a lot from those about different situations. And even if some of you study the same case study, it would be interesting to see the different viewpoints that come up. So hopefully this brief overview helps to get things going with the case study. Please feel free to email me any questions, or if you want me to take a look if your area is specific or narrow enough, I'd be glad to do that. Again, I think I've said it several times, but I'll just say it again, that Dr. Fine's case studies are very, very helpful. So you might want to consult, for example, Chapter 3 and some of the other chapters as well. And we'll see how that materializes and how it helps us to construct our own case studies. Thank you.